Through history, myths of the end of the world, apocalypse in the Bible, Ragnarok in Norse mythology, the sun's legend in Aztec mythology, have put society in a doubt about the final destiny of humanity and the universe. These myths explain part of the cosmogony. They play a crucial role in understanding the cultures that generate them. These narratives have transcended geographic and cultural boundaries, allowing us to explore the importance of the end of the world myths in different cultures, examining how they shape the beliefs, practice, and perspectives of the society and culture who have embraced them over time.
The apocalypse in the Catholic religion represents the final revelation about the end of times. It describes the struggle between good and evil, which culminates in the final and definitive victory of God. This myth is found in the book of Revelation of the New Testament and is attributed to John, who was one of the 12 apostles of Jesus. John wrote the Apocalypse after being sentenced to death by Emperor Domitian. He was banished to the island of Patmos, where he wrote the Apocalypse, returned to Ephesus after the death of Domitian, and wrote the 3 letters and the Gospel. The concept of apocalypse has its roots in Jewish tradition and sought to reflect a dualistic perspective of the world, dividing between the forces of evil and those of good. In the biblical apocalypse, what it tries to show is the second coming of Jesus. The myth is this. In a world where the light and darkness fought for the dominance, a profound revelation was unleashed. In a celestial realm, a divine being known as the Supreme Creator projected visions of an apocalyptic future to his messenger, an archangel named Michael. Michael, imbued with heavenly knowledge, descended to earth and appeared before a righteous man named John. On a remote island surrounded by the waves of the sea, John was snatched in spirit to the heavenly plane, where he witnessed a series of astonishing visions. First, he saw 7 churches represented by golden lampstands, each with its own virtues and defects. The faithful of these churches faced spiritual and moral challenges, and their destinies were intertwined with the destiny of humanity. Then, in heaven, he witnessed the opening of a book sealed with 7 seals, unleashing a cascade of calamities upon the earth. The first 4 were riders mounted on horses of different colors, symbolizing war, hunger, death, and desolation. As the seals were broken, 7 trumpets sounded in the sky, announcing additional judgments on the earth. From the darkest depths, demons and evil creatures emerged to torment humanity, bringing plagues and suffering. Then, 2 mighty beasts arose from sea and land, embodiments of corruption and tyranny that rose to challenge divine order. With deception and seduction, they led humanity towards perdition and idolatry. 7 veils full of God's wrath were poured out on earth, unleashing storms, earthquakes, and pestilence. A great city, Babylon, a symbol of sin and oppression, was consumed by divine fire, its all marking the end of earthly tyranny.
The Ragnarok is the apocalypse in Norse mythology. In it, cataclysmic events, which include a great battle foretold, the process of chaos break free and results in the deaths of the gods Odin, Thor, Freyr, the giant Loki, and a lot more. It ends in the submersion of the world in water, from which it later resurfaces newly cleansed. The dragon, eagle, and squirrel are symbols of change, as not even Yggdrasil, the tree of life, will last forever. In the final battle of the Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, and the end of the world, Yggdrasil will be destroyed along with everything else. The surviving gods meet, and the world is repopulated by 2 human survivors, Liv and Lifarsil. The signs to know that the Ragnarok was approaching were that the human bonds will disappear, the Fimbulvert, which were 3 winters, one more severe than the other. Also, the roosters will crow, Flar to the giants, Gulankambi to the gods, and another one will raise the dead. The sun will be devoured by Skull, and his brother Hati will eat the moon, leaving the world in darkness. Fenrir will break free, and he will eat heaven and earth, destroying the 9 worlds and all that lives there. The mountains will fall, and the seas will overrun the land, as Jormungandr comes. The Ragnarok will start when Baldur, Odin's son, dies by his brother's hand, but by Loki's fault. According to myth, Odin is killed by Fenrir, but Surtur sets fire to the world with his sword, and the 9 realms fall in flames. ending the cycle of life that began with the gods' act of creation.
Within the Mexican legends concerning the end of the world, there exists a narrative depicting how certain beings endeavor to prevent the emerge of the sun. Known as Sisimime, these entities share similarities with Mitantecutli, the lord of Ictlan, bearing human hearts and hands as adornments around their bony bodies, with claws on their extremities and knives at every point. According to Aztec cosmology, they dwelt in one of the 13 heavens. Sisimime are regarded as nocturnal demons, associated with stars and with the intent to destroy humanity. They are given the task of hindering the sunrise by attacking at dawn at dusk, intensifying their fury during solar eclipses. Moreover, they play a significant role in the myth of the creation of the fifth sun, the era in which it is believed we inhabit. According to belief, the fifth sun, known as Nauiolin, fourth movement, was destined to perish due to cataclysm or earthquake. At that juncture, the Sisimime skeletal beings would emerge to devour humanity. To avert this fate, the Mexica performed rituals such as sacrifices and the New Fire Ceremony, a crucial festivity held every 52 years in the ancient calendar.
The preservation of fire during this ritual, and the radiance of the sun at the onset of the Shimompili, as the festival was called, were of paramount importance, for their failure would bring darkness upon the world, allowing the dreadful Tzitzimime to annihilate humanity. According to tradition, the Tzitzimime attack during moments of complete darkness, such as solar eclipses and the rainy season, as well as during the New Fire Ceremony. It was also said that they had the tendency of seizing children and infants from homes. They were considered vulnerable during the 5 nefarious days, or Nemontemi, the final days of the Mexica calendar, where venturing outside was advised against. Additionally, pregnant women who perished during the New Fire Ceremony could transform into these monsters. The sound of shells was believed to be a harbinger of their presence, as it was said that they wore skirts made of shells.
So, what we can see is that the Apocalypse in the Bible, the central message about the book, is clearly regarding the sovereignty of God and the final judgment on sin, offering hope for those who remain faithful and emphasizing God's mercy and salvation for the faithful. And also, after this event, it will all the people who remain faithful in Him will come back to a new world. That's similar in the Norse mythology because it represents the end of the world and the gods in the way of an epic battle, which later, after this success, the world will come back and clear with 2 humans and only one god, that is Baldur, who will repopulate all the world and it's a new world. And that's different in the Mexica mythology because it represents the end of everything and is clearly related to the death of the sun. And that is the center of the life in this mythology. And when this happens, there is no other new word and kind of that is clearly mentioned in this part. Now, talking about the structures, in the Mexica mythology, it's Tzitzimime, which it only attacks in the completely darkness. So the dark in this mythology is very important. Also, something similar happened in the Norse mythology, which the structures are Fenrir and Surtur, and basically one of the things that happened is that they killed the sun. So basically the darkness is in these 2 mythologies, but also one thing that are similar with the biblical things is that in both they mention the purifying fire. Basically in the biblical mythology it talks about God as a destructor, but not personal destructor like in the other 2 mythologies, which this God destroy everything, but in other things and in other ways, like earthquakes and stuff like that. And talking about the people, as I already mentioned, in the biblical mythology and in the Norse mythology, there is a new world that come after the end of everything, which is kind of sickly thing. In the part of the Mexica mythology, it just end everything.
The comparative analysis of the narrative traditions of different cultures offers us a unique window into the richness and complexity of cultural diversity. By examining how stories are told in different parts of the world, we can appreciate how communities shape their identity, transmit knowledge and values, and relate to their environment. Understanding this difference and similarities allows us not only appreciate the beauty and depth of diverse cultures, but also foster greater understanding and respect between them. By recognizing the importance of narrative in the construction of cultural identities, we can promote inclusion and tolerance and work towards a more interconnected world in which every voice and every story is valued. Finally, comparative analysis of narrative traditions remind us that cultural diversity is a treasure that enriches our lives and our understanding of the world we share. By exploring and celebrating this difference, we move closer to realizing a more compassionate and cohesive global society.